George Kilpatrick Inspiration for the Nation. Syracuse Mayor Ben Walsh announced a new housing initiative. It's broad, it's bold, it's comprehensive. And here to tell us all about it is Michael Collins, Director of Neighborhood and Business Development for the city of Syracuse. Michael, good to see you.
George, great to see you. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about this.
All right, so let's talk about it. So what's going on? I know the mayor made an announcement, actually part of the State of the City, as I recall. So what's going on?
So last year, the city undertook a housing study. We wanted to make sure that we had an extremely strong baseline on understanding the condition and the quality of housing across the city. And so we went, and every single structure that's got housing in it, we stood in front of it and made a quick evaluation of the general condition of the property. And you can find that study at SyracuseHousingStudy.com. We released it last year. And then from that, we said, now we understand baseline. So what are we going to do about it? And we went back, worked with the same consultant, CZB. We also brought in a lot of community members that are involved in housing in a variety of different ways. And working for several months, we came up with what is, we recently released the draft Syracuse housing strategy that talks about how we would address the challenges that we see in front of us.
Yeah, and what were some of the findings of the study from last year?
So what we found was that, not surprisingly, we know just when you look at the overall data, Syracuse is a soft housing market, and it is soft with any soft regional market. So, compared to similar sized cities and other places across the country, our property values are lower. And what that means is that when you put money into it, you don't necessarily always get the money back out of it. And so that's led to a lot of deferred investment on a lot of properties. And so what we decided we wanted to do was figure out, all right, how do we build on what we've been doing? Because what we've been doing has really been focused on that incredible need that we've had all along of more affordable housing that's quality housing. Now what we're saying is, in addition to continuing that work, we're also going to turn around and we're going to invest in some of these middle income neighborhoods that, if they don't have some attention, could become distressed themselves. But if we focus on them, then they'll be better able to support the tax base so we can continue to do good work.
That is a different approach. I remember when I heard that announced for the first time. I think Tip Hill, one of the areas that you intend to focus on. And that's kind of an interesting twist, right? Because so much of the efforts have been on, when we say affordable, we think of lower income housing. And what did we find about that strategy that made us say, let's take another look at, you just said, we want to help stabilize and not let certain properties become distressed in already middle income neighborhoods. So what was the thinking there?
So there's a couple components to it. One is, what we found is we've done a good job for every family that right now, individual, household, however you look at it per housing unit. For the units that we've been able to support construction of that are quality, affordable units, every person's better off for it that occupies one. We've also done a decent job of being able to take a look at trying to make sure that we're building back where we have had demolition to stop blight. We haven't been able to do that necessarily at scale in a coordinated way within a micro neighborhood, with, block to block, where we've also then focused on the properties around it. So while we've been able to make a difference from a housing perspective, we haven't necessarily from a neighborhood perspective. And so we wanted to do two things. One is, let's take a look at these other neighborhoods that really do support the tax base and have an ability to grow again, and do it in a whether it's there or whether it's all the neighborhoods that we continue to work in. Let's do it in a way where we are really trying to make sure that we are controlling the quality of the block. And when we do that, whether it's build a new house and a few lots, we can't do that by itself. So what are we doing with the other property owners to make exterior improvements or interior improvements to improve the value of their properties? How do we do that in a way that then goes to the next block and the next block, so that we really do have the cumulative effect of that investment?
And So, Tip Hill, what are the other neighborhoods where this particular middle income housing strategy will be in place?
So right now we're strongly suggesting that we start in Tip Hill and Salt Springs. Neighborhoods that we've identified in the study, we've identified into two categories. There's the asset and there's the legacy. And the asset ones are the ones where we really do have some strong assets, and you're closer to kind of a dollar in, dollar out from a value standpoint. And then the legacy ones are the ones that really are struggling. So first wave, we're suggesting that we start with Tip Hill and Salt Springs. They are both at the bottom of the asset category, so really close to going either way. And then after that, we're looking at Port Woodlawn and Elmwood. And Port Woodlawn, another one within the asset, and the Elmwood in the legacy area. But they're neighborhoods that really do have great characteristics to them and neighboring them as well.
When I think of Woodlawn, I think of where the cemetery is. Am I right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That area. Yes. Yep. Yeah, that area. And so thinking about this housing, what will it take to actualize this? Is the funding already in place, or is it something that the council, how is this going to be actualized if it is to go forward?
So one of the reasons all communities tend to focus really on the directing the resources towards the affordable housing along with the need is that's really the only state and federal money that's available to support that development and that rehabilitation. So we need to create new tools for the new work. To that end, we have created a housing trust fund. We were really thrilled with the fact that the governor chose to support the trust fund significantly. Last year set aside $5 million for it that we'll put in this year's. We're standing it up. The mayor and the common council also went in for $2.5 million in this current upcoming budget. So $7.5 million to start with is great, right? That's a really significant push. Our goal is $25 million this year.
Oh, okay.
If we, excuse me, 20 million this year.
20 million.
So if we had the money to do everything up front all at once, it'd be about $1.5 to $2.5 billion. Mm-hmm. We're clearly short on that, which is why we're saying, hey, we got to raise new money, and we've got to be able to make sure that our strategy is very, very targeted.
Yeah, and so this is the plan. Now you're putting it out there that this is something that you need investors, the community to get behind. That's what I'm hearing you say.
Exactly. And we've done a number of neighborhood sessions. We've done 2 open houses. Generally speaking, we've heard a lot of support for the plan. A lot of I'm glad my neighborhood is one of the ones you're looking at, or I hope my neighborhood's next, right? So me too. I hope my neighborhood is somewhere down the line. But it's one of those things where Syracuse residents will always impress you when they give you a few minutes to interact with them. And we're hearing thoughtful questions, thoughtful support, and so now we need to go raise more money. And so that's really our next major goal. It's also something that we've introduced to the council. The council has been very supportive as we've talked to them, and we've asked them to consider adopting it. So that's something that they're looking at having on an upcoming council agenda.
This may be a question for the mayor, but why do you have to wait till you have all of the money to at least start something, right? I mean, that's my question.
Yeah, and we're not going to wait till we have all the money to start something.
Okay.
So there's a third step before we start, and that is that we're going to create what we call sub-area plans. The goal being, again, working with the consultant, but then now that we've chosen the neighborhoods, narrow down on exactly where within those neighborhoods, what are the right blocks for us to start on, considering all of the inputs that we have, from census data to local data, and then go door to door and say, look, what is it that you're looking for to be able to put money into your property? What is it that you need for support from us. What is it that would incentivize you to be able to put your own money into the property, whether you're a owner occupied or an investor? And the goal is that not only are we using our own money, but we are doing it in a way that does spur investment and move those private dollars off the sidelines. We see when we look going back to the housing study from last year, there's really two issues. There's the affordable issue that we've talked about, and there's the market rate issue, which is that notion of the fact that right now, not all neighborhoods are you going to get back the money that you put into it?
Yeah. And I think about communities just saying, well, wait a minute, we haven't even solved the affordable housing issue in our community, and now we're bypassing and focusing on a different strategy. From your perspective, and I'm sure you heard that in some of the meetings, what is your answer to that?
So we have heard that in some of the meetings, and what we see when you go through the strategy is that's not what we're doing. The work will continue. We've got
on all the fronts, is what you're saying.
And on all fronts. This is an additive strategy. So we have three massive projects that are coming close to starting, and then another one that just did. So the Creekside Landing project that Housing Visions is doing is 16 two-family units, but then also
where's that going to be? Creekside Landing.
So it's scattered site, south side, west side. And then they've also got a 20 unit that's over on West Onondaga, where the first floor is a training center that Jubilee Homes is going to operate. And then home headquarters. I'm screwing up my agencies that start with an H. But they've also got an initiative where they're doing 40 owner-occupied affordable housing units this year and next year. And then you look at the three major ones. There's the redevelopment of the Syracuse Housing Authority properties of McKinney Manor and Pioneer Homes, where it's 1-for-1 replacement for all the housing units there. But then additionally, we're adding in more affordable and in some places unrestricted. You move over to Syracuse Developmental Center on the west side, and over there we've got 48 acres that most of it's being redeveloped for housing, mixed income, both affordable, and there'll be market rate over there, hundreds of units. Yeah. And then you go over to the north side, and we've got the Maria Regina project, which is the redevelopment of that old campus that's really been blighted over the last several years, and that's going to be affordable housing for older adults. So massive projects going on right now.
You're Michael Collins, the Director of Neighborhood and Business Development for the city. Okay, Michael. So this is good, and so who's going to put into the pot?
So who's going to put it into the pot? So far, it's been the city jointly with the mayor and the common council. It's been the governor. You bet we're going to go ask Micron. Absolutely.
Yeah, that was the elephant in the room.
Yeah. There's how do you not, right? So we're absolutely going to go ask Micron. One of the really hopeful things that I heard as we were doing these sessions, we actually had one family say to us, "How do I contribute? How do I put my money? Like, my home is in great shape, but if you're going to be focusing on my neighborhood, I'm willing to pony up myself." So we're looking for the big dollars, but those dollars, the smaller dollars, go a long way, especially when they come with that love in the neighborhood. So every single way, if you got listeners that are interested in being part of it, we'd be very happy to find a way to put their money to good work.
Well, how can they do that if they're interested?
So that's a stay tuned, because right now we're in the process of finalizing standing up the Housing Trust Fund.
Yeah, gotcha. Tell me about, so your neighborhood and business development, and so driving down Salina Street.
Yep.
The crown jewel, the Landmark Theater looks great, and then
gets a little different after that, doesn't it? So there's a few different things that
okay, before I continue, right?
Yeah.
City Center is beautiful. So yes, let's do the positive. But we got our main street, man. Come on.
So there's when you look at our city center, it looks better than it has in
It
decades,
does,
right?
right?
As someone that used to go downtown, when class went out when I was in high school, and just because that's where everything to do was, it's really, really great to be walking around there during the day and at night and on weekends and seeing everybody else, because now again, that's where everything to do is. And absolutely love that. So, certainly as you go south, also as you go north, we have great successes, but they are also kind of they're a bit more sporadic, right? We don't own the block, as it were. So there are we do have a big focus when we look at the East Adams neighborhood redevelopment. So try to be pretty inclusive of everything that's 15th old 15th Ward.
Mm-hmm.
Our focus, while obviously the major attention is on the housing authority, our focus is from east to west, it's 81 to Midland, and from north to south, it's Adams to Colvin. So we're really looking at what do we do within that entire block or within that entire area. And to that end, it does include, all right, what can we do along South Salina? So we got a couple housing projects that are proposed for some blighted buildings along South Salina. We do a lot of, and when I say a couple, there's two that are blighted. There's a third one that's occupied but needs love, and that's looking at a rehab starting this year. Another one that is likely to get financed for rehab next year. We do a lot of targeted code enforcement to make sure that that property owners that perhaps are letting things slide a bit, we're able to put some pressure on them to make sure that they don't. And we work really closely with our partners in the police department, fire, DPW overall to be able to do that.
Well, the housing is in great shape downtown, but it's your first floor storefronts that, you come out of the Landmark, and then you got that side of the street a little bit better, but both sides you got so many vacant stores. What are developers telling you the reason why that has not been developed yet?
So, we've seen it as I think is really well evidenced by some of the challenges at the mall.
Mm-hmm.
Storefront retail is challenged right now. There's just there was such a shift to online,
right.
during the pandemic that obviously had happened long before then, but majorly shifted there. We have seen, surprisingly, a reinvigoration of use of office space downtown.
Mm-hmm.
And so that helps a lot. And I do believe that a combination of the density of having people there in the evening that now reside downtown, plus a revitalization of the office space. So, we just have seen tens of thousands of square feet lease up that we just didn't necessarily expect. That is going to, I believe, draw a population that it may be perhaps different retail than what we've traditionally seen downtown, but smart entrepreneurs know where their customers are. And we just have more customers downtown, and we'll have more customers throughout the year downtown than we've had in a long time. So I'm hopeful. I'm also realistic. Retail is a tough market.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, if you have the right thing, people will come to it.
Exactly.
So maybe maybe it'll become Restaurant Row, right?
It's Syracuse. I'll tell anybody that visits, you can eat around the world in Syracuse. Our restaurant game is on par with places 3 times our size. So I do think that as more people recognize that, we'll see continued growth in it, because clearly there's been support for it.
All right, Michael. Anything else that's on the horizon from a neighborhood business development standpoint? I mean, you got the whole city.
We do have the whole city. Our department is wonderful for me in the fact that if you live, work, or own a business in the city of Syracuse and you're going to deal with city government, it's probably our department. Mm-hmm. Which does mean we try to really do a lot of hand-holding when you're either having trouble with something or looking to grow something.
So this is where I get my permits, all of the things that I need.
Exactly. Yep. You want to you're having trouble with your landlord to I want to build a new business, build a new building for my business. That's us. And it's not just the permits, but it's our industrial development agency, our economic development corporation. So we've done a lot of work over the last couple of years to really try to make sure that minority business owners and women business owners have a lot more access to the tools out there than they've had. We've done a couple now BIPOC housing developer summits that have been really, really well received. So trying hard to make sure that, as wealth grows within Syracuse, it specifically grows within the city.
Appreciate that. All right, Michael Collins, Director of
George, thank you very much.
Neighborhood Business Development for the city of Syracuse. SyracuseHousingStudy.com or .org?
You got it.
Is it .com or .org? Which one is it?
.com.
.com. Find that. You'll find information about the current housing strategy, and what they say is an add-on to the existing efforts to make housing affordable across our communities. Of course, there's also the issue, Michael, of vacant housing, and that's going to continue to be a challenge as well, because we have the stock, but we have this investment in some of those properties. So it's you're doing well over here, and then you still got that over there. So we're making progress. How about that?
We're making, and we've been making progress on the vacants as well. But we got room to grow all the way around.
All right, this is Michael Collins. He's the Director of Neighborhood and Business Development for the city. Housing strategy was our topic. SyracuseHousingStrategy.com. Inspiration for the nation. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, George.